Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the first early leaks of chapter 1068 of the One Piece manga. We're going to talk about all the information we have so far, and then we're going to comment on each piece while we don't have the complete chapter, so we can kind of get an idea of how this chapter is going to play out. Please keep in mind that these are just leaks, and early ones at that, and we don't have the complete information of this chapter. So as leaks come out, make sure you stay tuned to the channel because we're going to bring more videos with all the details to keep you informed about our upcoming chapter. In addition to these being leaks, we might see that in the official translation things are in a different order or things are said in a different way. So these leaks are only going to be based on these early leaks that we have about our upcoming chapter. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even consider subscribing and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into these early leaks of chapter 1068. So my friends, in these initial leaks, we're getting some information about the events that are now going to occur between those that are in Egghead Island and CP0 that has just landed and has the objective of taking the lives of everyone on the island. As we like to do with all of our leak videos, before going into depth and explaining what each topic might mean, we're first going to list out the overview of topics and then go into further detail about everything we've got in chapter 1068. And for these early leaks, we've got 6 things to share. First, the chapter is called The Dream of a Genius. Second, in the cover story, we see that Judge and Senior are continuing to argue while also remembering their days in Mads. Third, the title refers to Vegapunk's dream of providing free energy to everyone in the world, but his research led to the mysterious source of ancient energy, which is why he will soon be erased by the world government. Fourth, Shaka orders the release of S-Snake, S-Hawk, and S-Shark, and he also gives the controlling authority to Sentomaru. Fifth, Lucci uses Ryokugan, which is also known as the 6 King Gun technique, which is the highest level of all the Rokushiki techniques that the CP agents use. And he uses this technique on Atlas, leaving her body very badly damaged. And finally, number 6, Luffy's group on the island runs into Lucci at the end of the chapter. Now that we've outlined all the topics that we've got so far about this chapter, let's talk about each one and what it might represent in the fuller chapter once we get the official. From what we can see, it looks like the battle on Egghead Island is about to take place. And now that Shaka has ordered all the punks to prepare for combat, CP0 is going to take that same action, and they too are readying for combat. After all, CP0 is there and desperately wants to get onto Egghead Island because they need to complete the job given to them by the world government, which is of course to take Vegapunk's life and recover some of the valuable contributions that he has in his arsenal. In preparation for the battle, Shaka orders 3 robots that are quite powerful to be released, being a Cobra, a Falcon, and a Shark. And it looks like each one has kind of advantage as far as earth, water, and the air. With each of these robots potentially covering entry points that CP0 could use, this is going to give them a much greater difficulty of starting to act and take out the various punks, which means they're gonna have to take care of these robots before they can start on their main task. Now, we don't have much information regarding these robots, but it's very likely that these are some of the prime defense weapons that Vegapunk has for his island. These are going to also be much more powerful than any of the punks themselves, and they were probably designed specifically for combat. This is not to say that the punks are not powerful, even though they weren't necessarily built that way, because Vegapunk created the punks so they can continue their research, and he had a lot greater production capacity, having himself in basically 7 parts. So in these next chapters, not only are we going to get to see these amazing battle robots that have just been released, we're also going to get to see CP0 face off against them, which likely means these next couple of chapters are going to be absolutely action-packed. If the early robots that the Straw Hats ran into when they came to Egghead is any indication, these could be all the more powerful than just the shark we saw protecting the coastline. But even though these robots could be incredibly powerful and able to sink ships, Lucci or one of his agents might have a source or a way to defeat them and prevent the robots from destroying his own ship. Next in the chapter, we finally have the reappearance of a character we've been waiting for since Sabati Archipelago, and that of course is Sentomaru, a marine who works in the science division, but also is the main bodyguard of Dr. Vegapunk. Vegapunk. Now, we don't know exactly which side he's gonna be on. However, Vegapunk seems to trust him a lot since he allowed him to take over the battle, at least as far as the control of the robots is concerned. Since it's been a couple of years since the time skip, Sentomaru is obviously a loyal ally of Vegapunk's because he still continued to work for him this whole time. But it may still have a little bit of conflict, especially because he does work for the world government and the Navy. However, there's no real reason why Vegapunk would have left Sentomaru in control if he didn't trust this individual. Even though in the past he might have been on the side of the Navy, he still could have wisened up. Just thinking back to his appearance in Sabati Archipelago, he did help Kizaru fight the Straw Hats just before the time skip. But since then, Sentomaru might have developed his own goals and a certain loyalty to Vegapunk, and for this reason, Vegapunk may have allowed Sentomaru to help him. So in these next few chapters, not only are we going to get to see Sentomaru taking on CP0 along with the Straw Hats and the Punks, this may give us a little bit more sense of what kind of conflict he's in and if he really does intend to help Vegapunk or if he is there as a plant and is a backup to taking out Vegapunk and removing him from the equation. Getting back to the leaks, it's also said that Lucci attacks Punk Atlas with the Rokugan, which again is that 6 King Gun technique, which is the highest of all the Rokushiki techniques that the CP agents learn. Now this must mean that the two have a brief conversation, which is something quite impressive since Atlas is shown to be quite strong and durable. We even saw Atlas was able to resist Luffy's punch and even managed to send the rubber boy flying backwards with just a simple punch. So it's quite likely that during this time that Lucci was out of the picture, he might have gotten much stronger with all of his Rokushiki. This is quite obvious from the fact that he is able to damage Atlas. Now we don't know for sure exactly how much he ends up damaging her, as she appears to be quite durable, but this also could mean that Lucci is at a much higher level in his use of Haki and Rokushiki, allowing him to have an incredible rematch against Luffy. Another thing we don't know is if Lucci even needed to enter his hybrid Zoan form, because in this transformation he increases his speed and strength, and if Lucci really managed to damage Atlas in his human base form with just Rokushiki, this means that Luffy is gonna have a big problem when he deals with Lucci, because even though Luffy managed to awaken his fruit and obtain his Gear 5th transformation, it seems that Haki is gonna be the great balancer of forces between any two users and any further fights moving forward. Kaido and even our former king Goldie Roger have already proven that even if an opponent has incredibly powerful Devil Fruit powers, capable of even causing mass destruction, they are never able to defeat a user with a greater control of their own Haki. We know that during the Wano arc, Luffy managed to evolve his Haki in a couple of different ways, which not only acquired him to get much more powerful attacks, but this also led to his new transformation. But we don't know how much Lucci may have evolved as well. There's even a possibility, and many have speculated about this in the community, that Lucci could have evolved his own fruit, making him an awakened Zoan user, and this makes him much more powerful than he was in Eni's lobby. And there's even several possibilities in which Lucci could provide Luffy with a kind of a challenging fight. Another exciting piece of information that was dropped in the leaks is that Luffy's group that's at the bottom of Egghead Island is the one that finds Lucci. So it's gonna be in chapter 1069 that we have a confrontation between Lucci and Luffy again. A confrontation in which promises to be an incredible battle. Even though many have speculated that Luffy has evolved much further than Lucci, we really don't know how much stronger Lucci is after all of this time. So this next match could be an incredible battle between these two characters. Plus, we also have Kaku and Stussy to consider as well on the island. During Eni's lobby, Kaku and Stussy had gotten their Devil Fruits, so we really haven't seen their real potential since the time skip. And we also don't exactly what enemies each CP0 agent is going to face off against. However, there's still a possibility that other CP0 agents might still be hiding on the ship, waiting to be deployed. Remember that Joseph and Gizmona are still alive, and these two agents could be waiting for the right moment to start acting, since normally when Sifo-Pol goes on a mission, all the ancients follow the leader. So in this case, it looks like Lucci became the new leader of CP0, because in chapter 1067, we only saw Lucci, Kaku, and Stussy, along with some other lower level agents together with the Seraphim Kuma, and this means that they may have a second plan in mind. Speaking of this Seraphim Kuma, nothing was mentioned about him in these initial leaks, which means that CP0 may not really have the ability to use him during this match, since Vegapunk and the other punks might have the ability to override and still control it. If that ends up being true, Shaka could use Seraphim Kuma to attack CP0 if he somehow manages to get in contact with him. But again, this might be a part of CP0's overall plan, and how he might be used to attack Egghead Island. After all, CP0 is very unpredictable and quite sneaky, and there are many possibilities that they could just use this Seraphim Kuma to achieve a separate goal that the world government has. Wrapping up the rest of our leaks, it looks like we're not going to get any more information so far about Vegapunk's inventions or what he learned about the Ancient Kingdom. And we might not even get to learn about what Vegapunk did with Kuma, but during this battle, it's likely to get gradually revealed. The reason why we feel this way is that Vegapunk did say that he had something to give to Bonnie, as we saw in chapter 1067. Kuma was also awake and going somewhere trying to leave the revolutionary side. So many different things could still happen, so make sure you stay tuned to our channel so we can bring more news about this upcoming chapter and our next leaks when they drop. But now that we've covered all the leaks, we'd love to know what you think about it. How do you think CP0 might use Seraphim Kuma? And do you think Shaka or one of the other punks might actually be able to take him back over? Second, what do you think's going on with the real Kuma? And do you think he got activated and is on his way to Egghead? And finally, how do you think this new matchup between Rob Lucci and Luffy is gonna play out? Now, some people in the community have theorized that it's just gonna be kind of laughable, that Luffy has grown far beyond what Rob Lucci is able to do. However, we still haven't seen what he's been capable of pretty much since the time skip. So Oda might have a couple surprises left for us up his sleeve. Let us know what you think about all this in the comments below. Well, my friends, as we wrap up our video for the day, I want to thank all of you so much for watching the video, especially those of you who stayed with us here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.